Am I wrong for how payment was handled at my wedding? I am genuinely conflicted on this as I see both sides, so getting feedback from all of you. I recently got married at a venue about 200 miles away from where I live, so many things were done virtually, and I hadn't met many of these people in person that I planned the wedding with. For payments, our venue required a deposit, a payment 6 months before our wedding date, then a final payment once the charges were finalized, based on headcount. Our first two payments were made as scheduled with no issues. We finalized our headcount and settled on a final amount for all services rendered. The final amount was around $15,000. The vendor allowed payment through a check by mail or someone dropping off the check in person. Being out of state, we opted for option 2. I sent out a check to the venue through online bill pay and got confirmation the payment was to be delivered by the day of the wedding, which was a Saturday. I had a confirmation number from my bank payment was sent and money was taken out of my account. The wedding was wonderful and I enjoyed the next day, Sunday, with my husband. We received a text from the vendor and she said she still hadn't gotten the check. I looked at my bank account and see that the check was sent with a delivery date of the next day, Monday. I shared a screenshot of this with the vendor, including the confirmation number. I offered to call my bank with her on the line as confirmation. I offered to Venmo or Zelle her the money. She insisted on a physical check, which I do not have as I am out of town. She told us she would withhold our items left behind, unused favors, the top of our cake, guest book, other items. I explained again how the check would be there tomorrow and I offered Venmo or Zelle again and she refused to accept anything except a physical check. I had to spend over 30 minutes on the phone with my bank to stop payment on the check, which cost me $50. Then I had to transfer money to my mom so her check would clear. Then I had to drive back to my mom's house to physically get the check, which was 30 minutes away, then come back to the venue to hand deliver the check, which was another 45. When we got to the venue, the manager, not the person I had been texting with, thanked me for the check and told me not to worry as it would be put in the lockbox and they don't cash checks until Tuesday. At this point, I asked why I had to spend the day after my wedding running around town when my check wouldn't be cashed for a few days and the original check was due tomorrow. We argued back and forth, no yelling, just trying to understand what happened. I 100% understand and agree that the vendor must be paid for services rendered, but I am frustrated I have to spend the morning after my wedding running around doing this, only to learn it wouldn't be cashed until Tuesday, after my payment was set to arrive. Am I the asshole for being upset that I had to spend my morning like this and arguing with the manager when I dropped off the check? I met my boyfriend's mom 4 days ago. I don't know if I'm overreacting breaking up with him because of how she acted during dinner. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years long distance. We met while we were both on vacation. In that time, I have met his family but only through Zoom. We couldn't meet in person due to the intensive degree program I was doing. So, in the last 2 years, my boyfriend has been traveling to see me every 2 months. Now that I'm done with my program, I can pretty much work anywhere, and since I work from home, I thought I would move into my own place in the city my boyfriend lives in and continue to explore our relationship. I went to look at apartments and then went to meet his family in person for the first time and have dinner. Everything was going well. I met his parents, his brothers, and their spouses. His mom was very pleasant until dinner started. His oldest brother's wife had made an appetizer and served it. It was really good, but their mom put the appetizer in her mouth, made a noise, and then made it seem like she had to force herself to swallow it. She said something like, "That's a different taste," and made a disgusted face. There was nothing wrong with the appetizer. She then went to the kitchen and came out with the same appetizer and said, "It's good I made the same one just in case." Oh my god, she's a monster in law. I would say run, but not really run because if he's a good man, it's like, oh, what do I do? I expected the daughter in law to say something, but she just kept quiet. No one said a word, and the conversations continued like it was normal. The mom with the daughter in law and the other spouses then helped take away our plates that still had the first appetizer on them, served hers on new plates, and told us all to eat. It was the same appetizer, there was no difference. In fact, I preferred the daughter in law's because hers had more vanilla. I was astounded that she did this. Dinner continued, and it was all made by the mom. She kept asking how the food was and made passive aggressive comments about certain dishes that were made before by the other daughter in laws. I didn't ask anything because I was shocked, but after we left dinner, I asked my boyfriend what happened. He said his mom is really passionate about her cooking and doesn't like anyone to outdo her. I said, "So, does this happen at every family dinner?" And he said yes. His mom tries to outdo them. He said his brother's wives don't take it personally because they know how she is and that it's really coming from a place of love. I'm sorry, but what I saw is not from a place of love, and the daughter-in-law seemed like she was going to cry. My boyfriend finally said she's just territorial about her cooking, and other than that, she's very normal. I finally asked him when did this behavior start, and he said when his eldest brother first brought a serious girlfriend home. His eldest brother is 8 years older than him, so I asked from the time they were dating up till now, did all of your brother's partners go through this? And he said yes. I said, do you think your mom's behavior is bad? And he got a little offended and said, no, I just think she's passionate about making good food. I've been thinking on it, replaying the dinner and comments over and over in my head, and there's no way I can sign myself up for this kind of life. My boyfriend and I are starting to talk about marriage and the future and kids, and I'm very nervous now. His brother's wives have endured abuse over their cooking since the start of their relationship with their spouse's mother, and no one says a thing. Not them, not their husbands, not his dad, and not my boyfriend.
I'll be divorcing my wife because she feels it's dangerous for me to be around our child. Female, 2 months. My wife always complains about how clumsy I am. I do drop things by accident when my hand hits it unknowingly, and so I do agree with her. But it's not that bad that I'm knocking things over every day. I really just laughed this off before when my wife brought it up. But during the pregnancy, she often started to say how she won't let me hold the child because of how clumsy I am. Again, I laughed it off at times, and sometimes when I did take it seriously, I told her there's a difference between knocking over a TV remote and dropping a kid from your arms. Still, I didn't think about it much. But then my child was born and I was shocked at how reluctant she was to even let me hold a baby in the hospital. I suddenly saw her panicking when I was even around the baby. It caused a lot of fights and they've continued till now. It's been a couple of months and I have not been able to hold my baby more than thrice, including once when I held her at the hospital. She now sleeps in the other bedroom with the baby and she doesn't even let me hold my own daughter, even if I'm sitting on the bed where there wouldn't even be a remote chance of her getting hurt if I dropped her. She almost never leaves our daughter alone with me. I suggested I use a child carrier to take her on walks, but she refuses that too, oftentimes suggesting that I tip over and fall face first. I think she's overreacting and I have suggested going to therapy together, but all she said about the suggestion was, talking won't fix your body. She keeps telling me I'll be the reason that our child would die if I ever held her, and as a father I should realize how dangerous it is and comply with her. All this has really affected me and I've become a lot more self-conscious. Every time I mess up doing something, she tells me that that's proof of what she's saying is right. I'm a calm person and a pacifist at most times. Even during fights, I've tried to reason with her, find a middle ground, but I realize that there isn't any. I love my wife and my child more than myself, but I can't continue this considering how I can't even hold my own child, play with her, take her on walks, etc. Day before yesterday's night, after a fight, I snuck into her bedroom after my wife was asleep. I went to my daughter, I didn't hold her, I just held her hand and looked at her. I was emotional and I did whisper a few things to her. Not that she could hear or understand because she was fast asleep, but this woke my wife up who was right beside her. She screamed at first and then told me to leave the room immediately. I told her that I wasn't going to hold her and that I was just there to see her and hold her hand, but she didn't believe me and accused me of being ignorant and selfish. I did lose my temper too, and I offloaded this entire 2 months of frustration onto her. I feel terrible about how I acted that night, and I'm staying at a hotel as she told me to leave the next morning. I wasn't in the mood to argue either, so I quietly left. I cannot seem to get over any of what has happened, and even though it hurts so much, I think I'm going to part ways.
Am I wrong for asking my fiance to skip this year's Christmas family vacation because our baby is due? I have gone to Florida with his family for the past 5 years, or at least part of Christmas. And every other year, I return before him to spend Christmas Day with my family. This year is the first time in a long time that all the other siblings are able to overlap dates. So my fiance has major FOMO, which is why this is a sensitive topic. Now, his parents have always been weird about keeping their family close. They've never said it, but little things suggest they don't consider me completely part of their family since we aren't married. Also, my parents are overseas dealing with a grandparent emergency. My mom has been kept in the loop though and is trying to come back as soon as she can. On to the issue. My fiance and I, 31 male and 31 female, are expecting our first baby due December 30th. His family has a vacation home in Florida and they've gone every year during the holidays. He agreed not to go, but the family's insisting. Am I wrong for asking my fiance to skip this year's Christmas vacation because our baby is due? He agreed not to go, but the family is insisting he go and come back on the 28th, which is ample time before the baby is due, in their words. So, he bought a ticket for December 15th through the 28th. His reasoning is that his parents really want him there and his siblings will also be going. This is bothering me a lot more than I thought because I know pregnancies are unpredictable, especially in the last trimester. And if anything happens leading up to the due date, I need him here. My parents are away until December 26th and my friends have their family, so I'll be completely alone. The other reason, and I guess it's more selfish, is that I will be spending Christmas by myself. While it's not the main reason I'm upset, it is a part of it. He's been spending Christmas every year in Florida since he was 15, and there will be more trips after the baby is born. But anytime I bring it up, it results in a very uncomfortable fight. Am I wrong? Am I wrong for accessing my dad's phone and deleting a picture of myself? My family and friends were abroad at a hotel resort, and I, 18 male, do not like shirtless pictures of myself taken. This holiday, I was pretty much able to do my own thing, and that was mainly sleeping, eating, and enjoying the pool. To that end, my days were only overlapped with my family and friends in the evenings. One night, halfway through the holiday during dinner, I told them I'd come with them to the beach. The beach was a 10-minute walk away, and I specifically said no photos at the beach, and they agreed. And mind you, at this point, it's been a fact for years that I do not like pictures being taken, so it's nothing new. Skip to the next day, we're all walking to the beach, and I remind them, please don't take any pictures of me. At the beach, all is well with the world. I decide to put sun cream on, and to do this, I take my top off. Then once I'm done, I go in for a swim. I didn't put my top back on to swim because I didn't want to get it wet, but when I was swimming, my dad took a picture of me without my consent.